I don't think people going to that school will notice any difference. But what it does is cements particularly the governance of it, the importance of the Board of Governors in terms of the overall health or the overall education service on the Isle of Man.
You said, and I'm going to quote you from the Isle of Man government press release, you said it's made Manx a living language again. Does the department have any indication or any way of knowing what sort of condition the island's native tongue would be in had it not been for the Bunscoill?
No, not really, no, because, and again, I think we've always accepted that it's there. We need to cherish that and protect it. What I do know is that there is a huge interest in the Manx language from adults who are going to clubs, who are going online, who are using a huge range of resources to become familiar with the Manx language and try to talk it and speak it as much as possible. What the Bunscoill does is above and beyond that. It's getting people at a very early age interested in Manx language and therefore Manx culture and perpetuating that. The other thing about the Bunscoill is that it's not just teaching what's there. We have new words in English, so we need new words in Manx. And a lot of the work they do is more in terms of research and developing educational tools for both young people and adults alike. So in terms of what would happen if the school wasn't there, I think we'd have a real deficit in terms of further development of the language right the way across all ages.
In the last 150 years, the Manx language has seen mixed fortunes in terms of its health, but also politically. Do you feel that there's still some taboo even around the topic, or do you feel as though public opinion has changed, perhaps from where it might have been 100 years ago, even 50 years ago?
I mean, in our recent past, people were frowned upon for speaking their native tongue. People were even sometimes persecuted for doing that, not just on the Isle of Man, but in other jurisdictions. And we've seen that right across the Celtic world. I'd like to think now that we not only accept Manx and the Manx language, Manx Gaelic, for what it is, but actually treasure it. And one of the things that's come out of the British Irish Council is a real focus on Indigenous languages for actually being part of that culture, that spoken culture and written culture as well, and the importance of that for the overall well-being of an entire nation. So I think the Manx language is a really important foundation of the whole of Manx culture. And what we're trying to do through the education service is sort of cement that. And as I said, it's not making it a museum piece either. We have those on the Isle of Man. This is a school. This is teaching. It's teaching young minds the value of Manx Gaelic.
A bit of a disclaimer, because you've only been in post since the spring, so obviously we can't quiz you on any decision making beforehand. But if you're able to give us perhaps an opinion on why this has happened now and maybe not in the past.
I think for a number of reasons. Part of it is that I think the Bunscoill has got to a critical mass whereby, as Phil Gaughan said, it is mainstream, and so it should be treated as such. The other side of it is making sure that the teachers who work there are classed as teachers, full stop, that they have the same rights and conditions and support that any other teacher on the Isle of Man would have.
So have they not had previously?
They have, but I think there have been recent issues in terms of maternity leave and making sure that you can cover that properly. And what we're trying to do is bring the Bunscoill mainstream so that we have that protection around the staffing, so we have that protection in terms of governance, and really the status of the school is elevated to what it should be, which is an intrinsic part of our education service for all people on the Isle of Man.
You've mentioned just now, and it's mentioned in the press release, that this move cements the future of the school. What would you say about any fears perhaps that its future may not have been certain in previous years?
Yeah, I think that's very valid. In the past, a school that teaches in Manx Gaelic may have been seen as a nice to have rather than an essential part of our nation's culture. What we're saying now is just that. Is
that in public opinion or by government or by who?
I think right across the board. I think there has been, particularly, I suppose, in the last five years, a real appreciation of Manx culture, what makes us different, what makes us unique in the world. And part of that is the language that's spoken, and which is a foundation for that culture. So I certainly, from a department's point of view, it's incredibly important, not only that we have the Bunscoill, but that Manx culture and Manx Gaelic is taught at as many schools as possible, hopefully all schools, and we can use that resource to put that message out. But also in terms of a nation, particularly with what we've been through the last couple of months, that self-resilience, that belief in yourself has to be based on your culture. And having a vibrant, living Manx language is a really important part of that.